What is up, my dudes? Welcome back to Storytime with your favorite Reddit fairy. My name is Lorna, and today we're getting into some r/PettyRevenge and r/RegularRevenge. And stay tuned to the end for part 3 of subscribers submitted story. Without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. How I became manager of my store. Posted by user Just Mad. Edit. Added some more detail for y'all. Some info will still be vague because I don't want some details included. I started working at a cell phone store back in 2015 and quickly learned how to sell and became one of the best sellers in the company. I worked with several people at the store, one of which was the manager in question, who I will refer to as Douche from here on out. So Douche could not sell to save his life. He was absolutely terrible and walked even some of the easiest sales. He also tried sabotaging a lot of my sales because I was performing and he wasn't. Some time goes by and I was learning operations of the store and became the assistant store manager, ASM. After about a year there, another company bought them out, an authorized retailer for those who don't know what that is, and cut our commission pretty hard. Several of us had to jump ship and work at a different carrier. Meanwhile, Douche is still working for the company and slowly working his way up. He managed a couple smaller stores for a while. In this time period, I worked several different jobs, including some wireless sales and then car sales. After realizing I was making money more at the cell phone store, I was at a bad dealership. I called up the district manager and got to talking with him. At this point, there was a different, but equally as terrible manager in the store. I sat down with both of them for lunch one day and hashed out what it would take for me to come back. This DM had also promised me management before I had left, once the position became available. Well, after being back for a month or two, the manager had been moved to another store, and I was the temporary manager. So after doing that for about a month, they brought in Douche. Now let me tell you about Douche a little bit. He is an arrogant asshole whose parents pay for majority of his bills. He is super entitled and can never be wrong. He will openly mock you on your intelligence in front of everyone because he sees himself smarter than anyone in the room, even though he was probably one of the dumbest. If you tried to correct him on a sale, he would yell at you in front of everyone. He believes he is God's gift to earth. After they brought him in, I was still running everything in the store. I was training every new employee, doing all of the store operations, etc. I was making it well known with upper management that I was actually the one running the store and was responsible for its performance. But he took all the glory and paycheck, bragging how he is running the best store in the company and that it's all him. But over half of the numbers the store put out were mine. Single-handedly hitting the metrics for him to reach bonus. Now, enter my friend. My friend can sell just as well as I can, and Douche was very threatened because he thought we were coming after his job, which we were, of course, because he is a douche. So he decides he's going to try everything he can to get us fired. He was writing us up for the dumbest little things, and eventually he ended up getting my friend fired. He had all the other employees write statements for a verbal altercation my friend got in with a customer. He then was asking the other employees to try to get me to look at their statements. It was very obvious what was going on because 3 different people were being persistent on trying to get me to read these statements. One coworker in particular was responsible for reporting my friend to HR, which got him fired, and she was now helping him go after me. Keep this in mind for later. After I refused, he just decided he was going to tell HR I did anyways. So I was pulled in the back by Douche and my DM and was told I was being investigated for sending my friend the confidential statements, which I didn't, of course. They spent about a good couple of hours reviewing cameras trying to catch me taking a picture of the screen, which they didn't find. So at the end of it all, I was cleared and they had no proof of me doing anything wrong. There were other little incidents that I knew were traps to try to get me in trouble, but I didn't fall for any of them. I did everything by the book. I covered my ass with every little thing I did since I had a target on my back. I knew it was a matter of time until one of us was going to go, and I decided it was going to be him. For about 3 months, I sat and I watched every little thing he did. He didn't know it, but I had a log of every infraction he made, most of which nothing was big enough to get him fired. Then he started making some very big mistakes. He was disappearing for several hours on the clock. One day, he left for 6 hours to help his girlfriend move while still on the clock. I waited until pay period was over to make sure he didn't submit a time adjustment. Strike one. The next was him letting customers out the back door. We have traffic counters on our doors, and part of a way he got paid was close rate to traffic. This was now commission fraud, as his numbers were inflated. Strike two. The final blow was his dumbest move yet. A customer about 2 months prior had ordered a phone and never picked it up. Douche then had a business customer come into the store looking for the same phone, which was just a $60 flip phone. He told his business customer that he would just give him one for free. He gave him the other customer's phone, so now he just stole from a customer. Strike three. The setup. After Douche got done bragging about what he just did to me, because he thinks he is smarter than everyone, I immediately went to work. I finally was able to contact the customer. The customer just so happened to be the girl mentioned earlier who was working with him to try to get me fired. The customer came in to pick up her phone. I made sure it was a day that the three of us were there. But of course, it wasn't there. The customer was elderly and was in the hospital for almost 2 months. He was very well fucked himself now. As he tried to figure out what to do to get out of this situation, I am in the coworker girl's ear on how he gave it to another customer for free. He then asked the girl to go in half with him to replace the phone, which pissed her off. I convinced her to report it to HR, since if I did, it could be considered retaliation for my friend getting fired. She calls HR, and I told her she can list me as a witness since I was there for the whole thing. About 15 minutes later, I get a phone call from HR. I explained the whole situation to them, and they asked me if there was anything else they needed to know. Well, since you asked, and I just went down the whole list. I had added up all the time he stole from the company, the customers out the back door, as well as some other things. Now, Douche is being investigated. This takes quite a bit of time. In that time, we happen to get a new DM. The DM's first day at our store was to fire Douche. I immediately text Douche and go, "Damn, what happened, man? Heard you got fired." As if I had no idea what happened. He then went off on me and telling me I'm an asshole and he knows I reported him, blah blah blah. It was so sweet to have beat this entitled asshole. I got into the new DM's ear about the position and immediately assumed the operational responsibilities again. The best part was earlier, Douche told me there was no way I'd go from rep to manager at that store. Top tier store. I'd have to start at a lower store. Well, guess what? Not only did I get him fired, about 2 weeks later I got promoted to that top tier store. Last I heard, he went and worked at some cell phone kiosk before taking a retail job at Apple. I later fired the girl who was trying to help Douche get me fired. She was still trying to get me in trouble, so she put a target on her own back. I was able to fire her with cause eventually. I also fired her dumbass friend for theft. I was the manager there for about 2 years and finally got out after they kept lowering commissions time and time again. Working at a much better place now. TLDR, manipulated employee to get manager fired who was trying to get me fired, then took his position. Oh, snap. As somebody who was recently in a position like this where there were managers and coworkers conspiring against you, I feel you, my dude. I totally feel you, and this makes me so happy that you got your revenge. That's amazing. I just wish my story ended up that way, but my story's not over. I'm just starting a new chapter. I've got maybe some good news. I might be doing like a guest narration on another channel, and it's a lot different from this channel's. I'm not going to say what it is yet. We'll see if I actually get accepted to do this. And then if I do, then I'll fill you guys in. But it's pretty awesome if it does happen, because I am a big fan of this channel. And I'm still not going to say what it is, but it's basically about like police and their procedures and whether they're acting accordingly to those procedures that they're supposed to follow and things like that. It's interesting. It's pretty interesting. So anyway, let's get into the next story. Tourists are the worst. Posted by user PhantoCS. So back in 2016, I was working at a very well-known theme park. This attracted a ton of tourists to the area because the park and many cities surrounding it were beautiful in scenery. This also made the downtown area of the cities very popular with tourists. One day, I was walking with my girlfriend at the time in the downtown area of one of the cities. Keep in mind, this city is literally the middle point of 3 major areas, and a specific highway that connects the 3 areas cuts right through it. I was walking on the sidewalk about to cross the entrance to a parking lot we were about to pass when SB, stupid bitch, speeds into the opening to the lot and screeches to a halt, almost hitting me and my girlfriend. Her SUV was less than a foot away when she turned in. Stupid bitch rolls down her window and this conversation happens. Stupid bitch. Hey, you! Do you know how to get to tourist city she was trying to get to? Me. Yeah, let me think about it for a second. Stupid bitch. Well, can you hurry the fuck up? My kids, who look to be toddlers, are very bored and I need them to shut the fuck up. I am livid at this point. Not only did she almost hit us with her oversized vehicle, but she would actually say those words about her own kids. So I start thinking, the highway that she actually had just pulled off of, that is 44 miles long from one point to the other. This is a local highway, so that is pretty long given tourist traffic waits. Me. All right, ma'am. I remember now. Turn around in the parking lot and go back to the direction you came, but stay on this road. If you see a giant tower with a golden sphere for a top, you went too far. Stupid bitch. All right, bye. No, thank you. Little did she know, I just sent her 40 minutes in the wrong direction. Instead of pulling out her phone and looking it up, she endangers my life and my girlfriend's life, and still to this day, I do not know why. Oh, and by the way, from the drive she ended up taking, she would have to driven an hour and a half just to get where she wanted to go. I feel bad, but at the same time, I really do not. That's like the perfect petty revenge. Is this in PettyRevenge? It's labeled as petty, but it's in RegularRevenge. Okay, so this is definitely petty because it's like how you just endured another 45 minutes or at least of those screaming kids that just won't shut the fuck up. And yeah, have fun with that. That's a good one. I like it very much. I like that very much. My mother's side of the family thought my dad was gonna be a deadbeat. Posted by user MegaQ_MQHD. This was a story I heard multiple times growing up from my dad, and I thought it would be cool to post it on here. So here goes. So a bit of backstory. My mom got pregnant with me when she was 16 and still in high school. Because of that, both her and the rest of my family on my mother's side became very resentful of my dad and shifted the blame on him. They told him that he wasn't shit and that he probably won't take care of me when I was born. It even got to the point that they told my dad he wouldn't even be able to see me since he wasn't able to show up for my birth as he was overseas working at the time. He eventually was allowed to see me, of course, but they were still convinced he wasn't going to step up. But my dad did everything to prove them wrong. My dad was able to take me for weekends and sometimes in the week. In that time, he bought me everything. Super expensive name brand clothes and shoes, going to see movies, trips to fast food restaurants after our shopping sprees, and top-of-the-line snacks to bring home. It was like that for the first 3 to 4 years of my life. When I was 3, he got my passport sorted out so I'd be able to spend summers with him whenever he'd go traveling. My mom didn't like it at all. She was glad I was being taken care of course, but it made her upset because she knew she couldn't give me the same level of stuff my dad was giving me. At least not as often. Things came to a head when I started going to school. The school I was going to had a strict policy against jewelry, and my dad bought me a gold bracelet and gold ring that I wore everywhere, and 4-year-old me refused to take them off. Plus, every time I got from school, I would throw a fit about being hungry, and when my mom mentioned food at home, I'd get mad and said I wanted KFC or Burger King or some other restaurant that was a kid's meal that came with a toy. And I wouldn't eat the snacks my mom bought me either because they weren't the same quality as the snacks my dad bought for me. My mom had to tell my dad to stop spoiling me because I was behaving like a spoiled brat, and she couldn't deal with it. He did to an extent, and she never called him a deadbeat again. At least not to his face. TLDR, my mother's side of the family said my dad would be a deadbeat, so he absolutely spoiled me rotten to the point where my mom couldn't manage. That's good, but I don't agree with using your kid as a tool against the other parent at all, because as an adult, I learned a lot of different things that I didn't know when I was a kid. I was told some things and found out different things, but when you know both sides completely, you can form your own opinion of the story. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is funny. Kind of funny. Yeah, it is kind of funny. The kid's spoiled, but at the same time, that sucks for that mom, man. It sucks to be a parent and not be able to give them everything that you want to be able to. So that sucks. And I mean, she's a product of her parents' upbringing, you know. So you gotta. I think this woman might have it in her to change. You gotta work with her. I think she might, but again, I don't know the whole story, so who knows? Maybe she doesn't. All right, let's get into the next story. But before I do, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell notification, my dudes. In middle school, I got verbally abused daily by students, and staff told me to ignore it since words can't hurt me. I get in trouble for verbally retaliating, and I put the principal in her place. Posted by user Polydon675. Obligatory mobile. Background. I was always the top of my class at my K-8 school, but I had some issues. Tics, quiet, Asian, nerd, you get the picture. That caused kids to bully me for a long time. Most of the bullying was verbal, consisting of rumors and taunting insults, starting around 2nd grade onwards. Kids are cruel. Every day, I go to a teacher, monitor, principal, etc., complaining about the bullying. But their favorite responses were, "Just ignore it. Words can't hurt you." Or, "Kids will be kids." And, "Just stay away from them if they're bothering you." Holy shit, my childhood is like flooding before my eyes. Okay. Note, this last one was not an option since I was in the same class, and since our lunch tables are organized by class, I had to sit with them at lunch. They were essentially conditioning me to keep it bottled up since my attempts to complain about it were always waved off. Event. In 6th grade, I eventually reached my breaking point. I was tired of being called a nerd and being mimicked for my tics. One of the kids was throwing profanity and slurs at me, and I turned at him, telling him to go fuck himself since he'll never get to fuck anyone else. The kid cried off to the teacher, and I'm the one they called to the principal. I tried to make my case, saying he was verbally harassing me and throwing a bunch of slurs first, and the teacher tells me I should have just ignored it like she told me to. I ended up getting suspended. The little twat got nothing, and I was pissed at the principal. In a matter of days, I went from the smart, quiet kid who never got in trouble to the kid that keeps getting in trouble for talking back to bullies. I got 3 in-school suspensions in 2 months while my bullies got a good laugh about it. I was put in an anger management program at my school, which would have never happened if the principal did her job, and I still struggle with my temper to this day. Revenge. On my 4th call to the principal, I was being told why I was going to get in-school suspension again. After letting the principal finish, I asked her why my bullies were never punished and I always was. Principal and me. Guess who? Principal. Well, they're just kids. They're just having fun. And words don't hurt anyone. You shouldn't respond so aggressively. And if it bothers you that much, you should just stay away from them. Me. How do you expect me to stay away from them? I'm forced to sit in class with them, eat lunch with them, and they always follow me around. Principal. Why don't you just ignore them then? Words don't hurt you. Me. Yelling. Well, if you did your damn job in the first place, I wouldn't have to retaliate. I've had to ignore them for years because you couldn't be bothered to get off your sorry ass to do something. You have no clue how to do your job, right? You're a stupid bitch. Go fuck yourself. It's easy to ignore from afar. See how you ignore it now. Principal, clearly fuming. You don't get to talk to me like me. Calm down now with a cute, innocent face. Well, sorry, I'm just a kid. Kids say stuff, but words won't hurt you. If it bothers you that much, you should just stay away from me. With that, I turn and leave her office. My parents get a call that evening. I never even told them that I was suspended for speaking in retaliation or about the bullying. For all they knew, I was the instigator. Explaining what happened and what I said, and they'd tell her that if she took care of the bullies to begin with, there wouldn't have been an opportunity or reason for me to retaliate. They also threatened to mention her negligence to the district if the scenario happens again. I get scolded by my parents for not telling them sooner, but they understand why I said and did what I did to the principal. The next day, the bullying continues, but this time when I went to the principal, she, remembering my parents' threats, gave the bullies in-school suspension, and I didn't have to retaliate. They got punished 2 more times before taking a hint, and they left me alone after that. A new kid comes to school the year after, and he's more dense, but that's another story. TLDR, principal is negligent when I get bullied until I retaliate. I end up getting punished. I put her in her place with her own words. Never had to put up with those bullies again. Edit, spelling. Edit 2. Thank you guys so much for the support. I'm so sorry for all of you that had to go through the same thing. Stay strong and do what you need to do for you. Also, for the people calling bull, this happened 6 years ago, so I had to fill in some blanks in my memory. But the overall story is factual. The only reason I didn't get a week's suspension was because my parents stepped in. Her punishing the bullies wasn't so much my words as my dad's, but he basically said the same thing I did. Most other people who don't have a combination of a clean record and recent abuse would definitely get serious trouble for doing what I did. Would not recommend. Also, never understood the trolls calling every post fake. Who cares? People come to Reddit generally want a story, not the news. Go watch a documentary if you want 100% facts. Lastly, if you're a school staff member who lets bullying slide, look at the Why can't I say the word Look at the statistics for depression and suicide. A bucket ain't gonna fix a leak. Edit 3. I really need to make a point considering some of the responses I'm getting. I appreciate the support and some of you can relate, but I can't stress this enough. Do not cuss out the principal. There's a very high chance you'll get in serious trouble. Calmly explain your case. Get your parents involved early. I made a very dumb decision cussing her out, and I'm very lucky if I didn't come back to bite me in the ass. There are better ways of dealing with such a situation. Edit 4. The Reddit community. The place of downvoting every single comment that you disagree with. The peak of immaturity, and heaven forbid the thought of people contradicting your beliefs. Seriously, and I'm talking to both the people that think this is fake, which it's not, and the people that sympathize with my post. Be mature with your downvoting. I don't downvote someone just because I disagree with them. I have my opinion, they have theirs. No big deal. I only downvote someone that's blatantly rude and disrespectful. I know this is r/PettyRevenge, But downvoting every comment that's different from your opinion is the epitome of petty and also immature. Well said, my dude. So I kind of took this. I think it kind of provoked a little PTSD in me because I started my stuttering there, as you guys could hear for yourselves. I totally believe this is real because I was bullied in grade school, and I never got suspended for it, but I got in trouble for it when I finally snapped and retaliated back, because my teachers and the counselors there weren't doing anything about it. They just thought, kids are being kids. Well, no. When one kid is to the point where they're going home every night and having to deal with the things that happen to them during the day, and they get to a point where they're depressed, there's a problem. It isn't just kids being kids anymore. So I totally believe this story. 200%. Definitely believe it. And I'm glad he made it through that. That's awesome that, his parents were able to step in. So let's move on to the next story, my dudes. I got 6 stories today, but my dudes, these ones are really long. The next one is called Shitty College Roommate Gets the Shits. Posted by user Ms-Average. I lived in a quad my first semester at uni. I was a transfer student while my 3 roommates were all freshmen. I never really talked to any of them because I had really bad anxiety. We each had our own bedroom, with 2 bathrooms to split between us, as well as a common lounge space and kitchenette. Because of my anxiety, I didn't always feel comfortable going to the dining hall. It wasn't a big deal though, because I was able to have my own food stocked up. I noticed that my milk carton kept getting moved around the fridge. In of itself, it wasn't a big deal. The issue was that whoever was moving my milk was using it without my permission. I'm a non-confrontational person. I started clearly marking the milk carton with lines each time I had any milk as a passive way to say, I know someone's using my milk and I'm keeping track now, so back off. No success, so I decided to step up my game. I was 99% sure I knew which roommate was drinking my milk, and she wasn't the one I was stuck sharing a bathroom with. So, when the milk ran out, I went to the store to buy a new carton and the cheapest powder laxative I could find. If no one was going to acknowledge that they were stealing my milk, I wasn't going to either. It's my milk, so why should I have to tell anyone that I put a whole bottle of laxative powder in it? After that, I never had to draw lines on my milk carton or worry about anyone taking my food again. Edit. To clarify why I went to such lengths, this roommate was known to take things from other roommates' rooms if the doors weren't locked, even after the other girls asked her to stop. She came into my room one time when my door was unlocked and closed while I was taking a nap, and I caught her in the act of trying to take a handful of my tampons. The one time I did confront her about something, using my dishes and refusing to clean them, she literally started to scream at me until we got a noise complaint. Point being, this girl couldn't be reasoned with, and it felt like this was the only way to get my point across. Another edit. After seeing a similar theme in my comments, I want to clarify that I'm not trying to use my anxiety as justification for my actions, or say that I'm innocent in this whole situation. I only mention my anxiety to try to better put things into perspective. Looking back, I can assure you that I am aware that what I did was extreme, and I wouldn't repeat it again if given the chance. Since then, I've been diagnosed with more mental health conditions that I can clearly see influence my thought process at the time. Again, I am not using my mental health as an excuse for my actions. I understand how it might seem that way and apologize for any misunderstanding. But try and give a fuller picture of the situation from my perspective. Oh no. Yeah, I can see how that could have ended up quite awful for the other party for stealing milk. That's some passive aggression right there. That's aggression without realizing it. That's very aggressive. I've read other stories where people have done this to their bosses, and it's every time they get backlash from the Reddit community, like, you cannot do that. But yeah, mental health isn't something to laugh at, my dudes. Sometimes it puts you in a state of mind that you just don't want to You don't want to talk to anybody. You don't want to... You need things as an outlet, like making videos. You make videos, you find hobbies and shit to do to take your mind off of the things that give you anxiety. But there are times when those things, they don't work, and your mind just does what it wants to do, and you have no part of it. Well, you do, but you're not really present. So I think they call it disassociating, when you're just off in a little la-la land and you're not realizing it and you lose some minutes of your life. It's not a fun thing to deal with. I know a lot of people that deal with that, so it's unfortunate, and you never know, like, they might not have even been fully aware of what they were doing, but I mean, they might have been, who knows. But yeah, I'm just saying, mental health is not something to laugh at, my dudes, and you should always, always, always be there for someone if you know they're going through something. Just to listen to them. You don't have to talk. Just be like, listen, I'll be like your dear diary if you want. Just sit there and talk. But there's some people that just don't want that at all. They just want to be left alone. So you gotta kind of feel it out, I guess. I don't know. Ugh. It's so hard to give advice when people are so different. We're all like little special snowflakes. And I mean that in a good way, not the stupid way that people have taken it to mean. All right, my dudes. And the last story of the day is by user iron_man_reigns for part 3 of Tales from the Driver's Seat. Holy shit. She is gone. The end of the useless coworker saga. Here is the third and final part on this saga, as it came to an end much sooner than I had anticipated. I had suspected she may be gone the day before, but conversation with K1 from part 2 yesterday afternoon confirmed it. Entitled parent is in fact gone from the store. I'm not entirely sure as to the exact end of things. Either K2 was right and she basically quit without outright saying it, or she was terminated by K1. To be honest, I suspect it may be the latter, as he does not tolerate bullshit. Anyway, their limited dialogue between K1 and I. Me. So did entitled parent call in to say if she was not coming or anything? K1. No. Do you not remember what I said about this yesterday? Me. I was not entirely sure what you meant about it at the time, but now I get it. K1. Ah, okay. Yeah, she is no longer here. You are working by yourself again. Just keep focused on that and making money, okay? Me. Sounds good. There was a bit more to it, but nothing really going into it. I had a brief conversation with K2 about it, and it was left at that. Later on, I had a brief chat with A on it, and that was that. Ding dong, the entitled parent is gone. Much shorter than the previous post, but here's the update you have all been waiting on. That said, who knows if I may end up adding more to the Reddit. Or not, under the Tales from the Driver's Seat title. Let me know if anyone would be interested in that. I am sure I can come up with a few as I deal with various customers, Karens and otherwise. Yes, my dude, we want to hear all the stories. Every story you have that you think somebody would want to hear, or about Karens especially, yes. We want to hear those. I love those stories, just like all you guys. So yeah, you definitely need to keep submitting them. Tales from the Driver's Seat, if you want, you can totally do that. Just do you, my dude. Creativity and all, whatever you want to do. And you don't have to censor yourself on my subreddit, just so you know. So, my dudes that don't celebrate Christmas, what are you guys doing around December 25th? Are you guys going on vacation? Do you have another holiday that you celebrate? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm really curious to see where you're all from, what everybody celebrates. I love hearing about different cultures and stuff like that. So yeah, let me know in the comments. What are you guys doing around December 25th? I'm honestly at the point where I don't hate Christmas, but I just really don't want to celebrate it. You know what I mean? I just want to go somewhere warm and watch dolphins swim or something like that. That would be awesome. Or go to Scotland and check out the freaking castles and hang out with my girl Nessie. You know, Nessie's real. Don't even try. I'll fight you. Don't even try. I will fight you. Nessie is my girl and she exists, and I will fight you if you say otherwise. All right, my dudes, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell icon to be notified of future videos so you never miss one. And as always, the links to these stories will be in the description. So head on over to Reddit and show those posters some love with some upvotes. You know they deserve it. And don't forget to submit your stories, my dudes. As always, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, subreddit, r/Reddit Fairy. Submit your stories, my dudes, and I will get to them if my notifications don't fail me, as this one did recently with Rain's story there. So I will get to them eventually, I promise you. I'm not ignoring them, I promise. And I noticed overnight I have a whole crap load of comments to go through from my last video. So I'm not ignoring you guys either. I just slept really late today and my neck is just, it's freaking bent sideways. I slept like a pretzel or someone, The Exorcist was in my dreams or something last night. It's in a lot of pain right now. So I'm gonna pop a couple of aspirin and maybe smoke a J and just relax. So my dudes, I hope you have a fantabulous day and I will see you in tomorrow's episode.